Welcome back to Unboxing OD. I'm Kenneth Pearson, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. Whether you're new to the world of organizational development or you've been at it for years, I think today's episode will feel especially grounded because we're stepping into what the day-to-day really looks like when you're doing OD work. It's one thing to talk about theory or strategy, and those conversations are important. But sometimes what's most valuable is hearing the real stuff, the unscripted moments, the unexpected pivots, the decisions you have to make when the inbox is full and the culture feels like it's hanging on by a thread. So today, we're talking about the key responsibilities of an OD professional. And not just in an abstract way. We're going to walk through them in the form of a day-in-the-life story. You'll meet Liana, a fictional but very real-feeling OD consultant. Through her story, we'll explore 4 major areas: how we move from diagnosis to intervention, what it means to build credibility and strategic partnerships, how to navigate organizational politics without losing your integrity, and how to prioritize when everything feels important. If you've ever had a day that started with clarity and a good plan, only to have it tossed out the window by 10 a.m., you're in good company. So let's get into it. The story of Liana, a day in the life. Liana arrived at the city department building just after 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes before her first meeting, as usual. She liked the quiet of the early morning. It gave her time to shift gears, to go from the personal to the professional, to prepare for the emotional complexity that often came with OD consulting. This was week 3 of a 12-week engagement. The department had experienced multiple leadership transitions in the past 2 years, and while they had no shortage of bright, dedicated employees, the system felt stuck. Decisions took too long. Innovation had slowed to a crawl. There was an unspoken tension between teams that used to collaborate easily. Her role? To help make sense of what was happening and to start paving a healthier path forward. That morning, she was scheduled to share her initial observations with the new department head, who had recently stepped in from a different division. He was sharp and ambitious, but also knew he was inheriting a culture that didn't trust easily. Liana had carefully crafted her notes to reflect what she'd been hearing in interviews and observing in meetings. Siloed thinking, fear of speaking up, and a kind of learned helplessness that came from years of surviving change rather than shaping it. But before she could sit down to review her notes, her day took a turn. 2 division leaders, both usually professional and composed, were arguing in the hallway about overlapping grant proposals. This wasn't the first time either. This time, though, it was escalating. Rather than redirect them or brush past it, Liana paused. "Let's grab a room," she said, gently but clearly. Once inside, she facilitated, not by solving, but by guiding. She asked what each of them had assumed, what communication had been missing, and what they each needed moving forward. She didn't protect them from the discomfort, but she did make it a space where honesty didn't have to be harsh. That moment was not in her plan for the day, but it was the work. Later, with the department head, Liana didn't bring in slides or long reports. Instead, she told a story of a system trying its best, but slowly fraying under unclear priorities, cautious leadership, and an unspoken fatigue. She offered 3 immediate opportunities for intervention and 2 long-term focus areas. She didn't push a specific solution. She invited collaboration. And in doing so, she built trust. By 4 p.m., her inbox had filled with new requests: 2 team-building retreats, a conflict mediation, and a leadership coaching ask. all worthy, all important. But instead of jumping to say yes, Liana paused. She filtered the requests through what she had just seen and heard. What did this system really need right now? What sequencing would help, not overwhelm? This wasn't a perfect day, but it was a day lived in the rhythm of real OD work. Listening, shifting, guiding, and showing up with presence. So let's unpack how that all ties to the core responsibilities of our field. Let's start with diagnosis, because it's where everything begins, and where everything can fall apart if we rush. Diagnosis in OD is like holding up a mirror, but doing it with respect and skill. It's not about pointing out flaws, it's about helping people see their own system more clearly. We do that through listening, observing, sensing, and synthesizing. We look for repeated stories, invisible rules, and subtle patterns that others may have normalized or stopped noticing. Once you've made sense of what's going on beneath the surface, then, and only then, do you begin designing interventions. But not off-the-shelf, copy-paste interventions. Real OD interventions are crafted with the organization's current state in mind. What are they ready for? What would stretch them without snapping them? That's the art. Sometimes the intervention is structural. Sometimes it's cultural. Often, it's a layered combination of leadership development, communication practices, and slow, steady trust building. The point is, it's responsive, it's aligned, it's grounded in a clear diagnosis. Next, credibility. This is everything. OD work is relationship driven. You're walking into spaces where people may be hurting, guarded, or skeptical. You can have all the credentials in the world, but if people don't feel safe with you, if they don't believe you see the whole picture, your work won't stick. Credibility isn't built in one meeting. It's built through every small choice, following through on what you said you'd do, admitting when you don't know, reflecting back what you've heard, offering a perspective that's both honest and compassionate. And when it comes to leadership, credibility means understanding the tension they're under. Many leaders know things aren't working, but they're also trying to hit performance targets, answer to boards or councils, and maintain their own sanity. When you show that your work is aligned with their strategy, and that you're here to support, not shame, you move from being the consultant to becoming a trusted partner. That's the space where change begins to take root. And yes, politics. Every organization has them. Some are subtle, others are very much not. Either way, if we pretend politics don't exist, we miss out on critical insight. As OD professionals, we're not there to play games, but we do need to understand the terrain. Who influences decisions? Who's respected regardless of title? What history is still shaping current behaviors? Our job isn't to manipulate. It's to observe and move with integrity. We speak the truth, but we do it in ways that can be heard. We hold up the mirror, but we don't slam it down. And we work to build bridges wherever possible, even when tensions exist. Integrity in OD means staying neutral, but not passive. It means advocating for what's best for the system, even when it's hard. And it means keeping the human experience at the center, no matter how complex the politics get. Finally, let's talk about prioritization. One of the most common challenges in OD is that everything feels urgent, and sometimes it is. But trying to address all issues at once is a recipe for overwhelm and shallow impact. Part of our role is to help systems slow down, to ask, what's the most strategic first step? What change will unlock capacity for the next? We help leaders see that prioritizing isn't about saying no. It's about saying yes to the right things in the right order. In Liana's case, she said no to 3 initiatives that sounded good, but didn't align with what the organization was actually ready for. That's wisdom. That's restraint. That's the kind of thinking that creates real, sustainable change. Being an OD professional means showing up in moments that matter. Sometimes those moments are scheduled. Sometimes they aren't. But they all require the same things: clarity, humility, curiosity, and care. Whether we're diagnosing, intervening, partnering, or prioritizing, we're doing more than solving problems. We're supporting people as they make meaning, reimagine what's possible, and take steps toward a better version of their workplace. It's not always glamorous, but it's deeply needed. If your organization is in the season of change, or if you're just ready to do things more intentionally, I'd love to talk to you. At Pearson & Pearson, we offer project-based consulting for organizations that want to build cultures rooted in trust, strategy, and sustainability. We help you take bold steps without losing sight of your people along the way. And if you're looking for a framework that brings all this together, how structure, systems, strategy, story, and spirit work in concert, I invite you to explore my upcoming book, The Flow of 5 Tiers. It's designed for leaders, OD professionals, and anyone who's ready to lead change that actually lasts. You can connect with me at info@pearsonpearson.llc or find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your story and support the good work you're doing. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep unboxing what it really means to build stronger, healthier, more intentional organizations.